Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we're going to be checking out the Hitscan Hyperlight. I'm super excited to check this out. This is a very well-reviewed mouse actually. A lot of people are saying it's one of the best small mice that they've put their hands on. So I'm really excited to check it out and give you guys my thoughts on it. This was sent out by Hitscan for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion of it, but shout out to them for sending this out. This mouse retails for $135 Canadian, which is around $90 USD. On their website, you can choose between two different colorways, either the black or white. As you can see here, they sent me their 8K wireless dongle. This does not come with the mouse. You do have to purchase this separately. If you purchase it separately, it will cost you $38 Canadian, which is around $25 USD, which is actually quite expensive for a wireless dongle. That is one thing I don't like that Mice Company do, is when they make the high polling rate dongle a separate purchase. But honestly, you guys will probably be fine just with the 1K. I myself personally play on 2000 Hz polling rate. And if you want a couple of good videos that touch on whether or not high polling rate is necessary on mice, I will leave two videos, one by Optimum Tech and one by Rocket Jump Ninja, in the description below that go over polling rate. Inside of the box, you will get the mouse itself right here. This is what it looks like. Reminds me a lot of the Pulsar X2 actually. It is a full plastic shell. On the bottom here, you do have cutouts to reduce the weight. And as you can see, it actually does not come with any feet pre-installed. That is because you are given the option for different types of skates in the box, which we will go over in a second here. The Hitscan Hyperlight comes with a 3950 sensor and it weighs in at just 39 grams, so super light mouse. The main clicks here are Omron opticals, with the scroll wheel being TTC gold. So let's go over what else you get in the box. You get the 1K dongle here, as you can see. This is what it looks like. It is USB-C of course, and the bottom is rubberized so it doesn't slip off your desk. Also in the box is a USB-A to USB-C cable, braided. And of course you get your setup guide, as well as your different skate options. So you either have these big skates here, or you can use these smaller skates. So I'm just going to put these bigger skates on right now. Alright, so now I have installed the skates, and the initial glide here is very smooth. There doesn't seem to be any sort of scratchiness on my Artisan Zero here that I'm testing it on, so no complaints with the stock feet. They seem to glide very nicely on my mousepad. Now let's open up the 8K wireless dongle so we can take a look at that. And this is what it looks like right here. It's pretty much the same as the 1K dongle, except I'm pretty sure this one has an LED inside of it, whereas the 1K dongle does not. So let's actually plug this in and see if it's paired out of the box or not. And it doesn't seem like it's paired out of the box, so let me take a look at the documentation here. Yeah, so the 1K dongle here works fine, but it seems like I have to pair the 8K one, so I'm just gonna go download the drivers real quick and then figure out how to do that. Alright, so I have successfully paired the mouse here to the 8K dongle. As you can see, there is an LED on the 8K dongle, whereas the 1K dongle does not have an LED. And I guess while we're here, we might as well go over the software. So inside of the software here on the main page, as you can see, we can change the clicks. We can rebind all of these clicks. Down here, we can turn motion sync on or off, and we can also change the debounce time as well. We can also turn on auto sleep to help with battery life. Speaking of battery life, the Hitscan Hyperlight comes with a 250 milliamp hour battery, which Hitscan claims is around a 75-hour battery life on 1000 Hz polling rate. But obviously, if you play on higher polling rates, you can expect lower battery life. Moving on to the performance tab, which is the main tab we're going to be playing around with here. You can change the DPI stages as well as the DPI, obviously. Down here, you can change your polling rate. Like I said, I play on 2000 Hz. Over on the right, we can change lift-off distance from 1 millimeter to 2. And you also have your typical settings for ripple control, angle snapping, high performance, and long distance mode. And that's pretty much all there is in the software. Very basic software, but gets the job done and very easy to use as well. Now let's do a quick sound test of the clicks so that you guys can get an idea of how these optical switches sound, as well as the scroll wheel and the side buttons. One thing that I did notice right away is that the scroll wheel on the Hyperlight is a lot smoother than the one on my Helios 2 Pro S, which I've been maining for a bit now. As you can see, the scroll wheel on the Helios 2 Pro S versus the scroll wheel on the Hyperlight. The Hyperlight is just a lot quieter than the Helios 2 Pro S. Well, also when comparing it to my Helios 2 Pro S in terms of the weight, the Hyperlight feels pretty much like a feather. Again, it is around 39 grams, but when compared to the Helios 2 Pro S, at 55 grams, like this is not a heavy mouse by any means, but just the difference in hand is very noticeable. I did mention in my review of the Helios 2 Pro S that the Helios 2 Pro S did feel like a very dense mouse. The Hyperlight is pretty much the complete opposite. I feel like there's pretty much nothing in my hand when I'm holding this mouse. Before we go over the shape, I just want to touch on the latency of this mouse. In terms of click latency and sensor latency, there's really no glaring issues here. This is all taken from the Ratings website, and they did a bunch of testing on this mouse, and as you can see, there's no glaring issues when it comes to sensor latency or click latency. In terms of the clicks, I really like the clicks on the Hyperlight. They feel very light and spammable. When compared to my current main mouse, the Helios 2 Pro S, the Hyperlight actually feels a lot more tactile, probably because they are using optical switches, which in my opinion do feel a little bit more clicky when compared to mechanical switches. Alright, now let's go over the shape of the Hitscan Hyperlight. I would definitely consider this on the smaller side of mice. For reference, my hands are 19 centimeters long by 10 centimeters wide. I personally use a claw grip with this mouse, and it works very well for a claw grip, but I could also use this on fingertip very comfortably as well. For palm grip, I would not recommend the Hitscan Hyperlight unless you have very small hands. But for a fingertip / claw grip style, this mouse is really nice. As for shape comparisons, here it is compared to my current main, which is the Fantech Helios 2 Pro S. As you can see, the Hyperlight in the front is a lot lower, which allows for a more locked in and aggressive feeling when I'm using this mouse. And also the back hump isn't as pronounced as the Helios 2 Pro S. When compared to the Viper V3 Pro, it is significantly smaller than the Viper V3 Pro. The Viper V3 Pro is considered a medium to large mouse in my opinion, and the Hyperlight feels a lot smaller in comparison. And here it is compared to the G Pro Superlight 2, again smaller than the G Pro Superlight 2, and that front end is tapered off more as well, and the hump towards the back is also lower on the Hyperlight, so you are getting a small mouse experience with the Hyperlight. I did mention earlier that it reminded me a lot of the Pulsar X2, and as you can see, this is the Hyperlight compared to the Pulsar X2. Very similar in terms of the height, but as you can see, the sides on the Hyperlight are more narrow than the Pulsar X2. So yeah, I actually really like the shape of this mouse. It gives me a super locked in feeling when I'm using it. I think mainly due to the fact that the front end is just so low. The comfort grooves here on mouse 1 and mouse 2 as well are really comfortable, and I find that they help a lot with my grip on the mouse. The Hyperlight is honestly just a very comfortable mouse for me to hold, and I find myself claw gripping this very nicely. And of course, if I was a fingertip user as well, this would probably be one of my go-to shapes, just because fingertip grip is very comfortable also. Let's touch on the coating and build quality of the Hitscan Hyperlight really quickly. So the coating here is actually very nice. It is very grippy coating, especially if you're someone like me who has moist hands a lot of the time. For completely dry hands, it's going to be a little bit slippery like it is with most mice out there. So if you have completely bone dry hands, you do want to consider putting some grip tape on this mouse, but for moist hands, this coating is fantastic and I really have no complaints about it. In terms of the build quality, the Hitscan Hyperlight is actually very solid, especially considering that it only weighs 39 grams and it has those holes on the bottom. I would have expected it to not have fantastic build quality, but it actually feels very solid. Shaking it makes no rattling or any noises, and squeezing on these side walls as well, there is pretty much no flex on this mouse. And I think a big part of that is because of the PCB. The PCB on the bottom here is actually against the side walls of the mouse, which I'm pretty sure helps a little bit with the structural integrity of the mouse, which is great to see. So build quality and coating on the Hitscan Hyperlight are all great. So yeah guys, final thoughts on the Hitscan Hyperlight. I think this is an extremely solid mouse, especially considering that this is actually Hitscan's first mouse, which is really impressive that they managed to create a mouse that's so competitive and performs so well with top of the line specs for only $90 USD. I think the pricing is spot on. The only real complaint that I have is that you do have to pay that extra money for the 8K dongle, whereas something like the Helios 2 Pro S comes with the 8K dongle included in the price of the mouse. But overall, if you're looking for a small mouse to either fingertip grip or aggressive claw grip and your hand size fits this mouse, then the Hitscan Hyperlight is an easy recommend from me. But that's pretty much it guys. If you want to check out this mouse, I will leave a link to it in the description below, and that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.